So this is the current state of the barrel. It's originally started as a planter, and I started taking it apart, and I didn't realize that when I started removing this stuff here, this band here, that the barrel was going to spring apart, which is really obvious if you've looked at it, but I didn't spend enough time. So I tried to kind of walk this cover together and kind of nailed it in, but then it started to separate a little bit after I was weathering it outside. So I kind of let the project sit for a little while, and now I'm going to try to clamp this back together, shoot some more finish nails in here to try and hold this thing together to keep it from splitting. I've got some pretty long 15 gauge finish nails I'm gonna do, and we'll see what we can accomplish. All right, I was able to clamp, and I was able to close up this gap. Now it's just a teeny tiny little bit, but that's okay. I don't want this to be perfect. It's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to look like a rustic barrel sink. So I'm gonna go get the finish nailer and load in the longest nails I've got, and then I'm gonna start driving them in at an angle here to try and keep everything from being able to separate back out this way. And I'm trying to put everything here where you can see I've got these staples I already put in, so that way when I put the trim barrel band back on it, that won't actually hold any of the structure. This will purely be trim. And then all the strength will actually be in the fasteners around here. So let's do it. All right, for this we're going to be using a Metabo 15 gauge finish nailer. I got 2.5-inch nails in there. And the idea here is we'll be kind of hitting them at the angle here, but I need both hands, so we'll set the camera up and make it happen. What, Mandy? What? All right, so the nails didn't actually sink all the way in because of how I was putting them in, but they're gonna be covered up anyway, so I'll just knock them flat and it's no big deal. But I guess a moment of truth here. I'm gonna unscrew this. I didn't realize I bent my clamp though, but whatever. They're cheap clamps. Thank you, Harbor Freight. So I'm gonna unscrew this and see if this gap opens up. I'm unscrewing. I'm unscrewing. I'm unscrewing. Is that gap opening? It is opening. Huh. Well, it didn't open as much. But now it's also opening even on both sides. All right, everyone, plan B. All right, so now I've flipped this back. And what I'm thinking of doing here, because this is all going to be up against the wall and all the plumbing is going to be in this area here. So what I'm thinking of doing, I'm going to go see if I can chase down something like some straps or something, and then we'll find some small screws, and we'll see if we can actually, since it's all clamped together, we'll see if we can actually get some metal and strap all this together and kind of screw it together to hold it together. I may have some wood kicking around that I could use, and I might have to put it on the table saw. Let's go see what we can find. All right, so here's what I'm thinking. I've got these drywall screws here, and they are 1.25 inches. But this is 1 inch. So if I do straight metal on there, I'm going to have a problem. So what I'm thinking, I've got a bunch of oak that's cut-offs from the sawmill. Just some random stuff like this. So I'm thinking I'm going to grab a piece of oak here, and I will cut it to 3/4 inch, pilot some holes, and use that as kind of a reinforcement. So I'm going to grab a piece of wood and we'll head to the table saw. All right, so we cut that wood. I got it mocked up right now with the clamp. Um, looking pretty good if you look at the way these screws are set up. They'll be able to go in there, and they'll be pretty good. I'm going to pilot these holes so I don't actually split this wood. In order to not go too deep, what I'm going to do is kind of line the screw up here, and then I'm going to put a piece of electrical tape to try and mark where it is, and then we're going to drill in here. I'm going to put one here. I'm going to put one over there, so that way this thing can't separate, and then we'll release the clamp and see what happens. All right, so that's what it ends up looking like. And I think I got enough of a gap here that it's not going to interfere with any of the plumbing. So, moment of truth. Let's see if these gaps open up or not. Let's go, ready? We're loosening. Nice. Look at that. I'm totally digging it. All right, I got that problem solved. Sweet. All right, so I stood the barrel up. And the problem is that this is a planter. So it was a barrel that got turned into a planter. And what they did was they put some strapping here and then put some nails in to try and hold the whole thing together. But I want the fasteners to be underneath the metal here, and then the metal is going to be kind of a trim piece and not necessarily structural. So what I need to be able to do is kind of hold this whole thing together so it doesn't fall apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing that I did up here with these. I'm going to repeat the same thing down here. So that way this thing will come together, it stays a whole piece. This is going to be the bottom. The plumbing is going to come in through roughly this direction here, and then this is going to be where the bowl and everything is going to go. So I'm going to do that here, so then the barrel, the round part, will actually, this will move as a unit now, and I don't have to worry about it. Then I think I'm going to use some 2x and some clamps that are longer than this. They're sticking out, and I will clamp, I'll make a clamping fixture to smush this down into the barrel, and then I should be able to take all this hardware off and it won't spring out, and then I will start shooting some nails in it and kind of hold the thing together. So we'll see how that works out. All right, well now I put those in there. This thing should now be solid as a unit. So let's start cutting this apart and see if these gaps open up or not. All right, so that didn't quite go the way that I intended, but it turned out all right. I'm pretty happy with that. You know, this thing's not supposed to be perfect. That's the kind of the point of the project. So I got to put this back on, and the plan here is, you know, they've used screws and these almost like concrete nails here to make these things. I'm going to peel these bands off. Maybe not so much peel the bands off as I'm going to drill holes in these bands. And then I've got these little nails that I purchased, and they almost look like little blacksmith nails. I'm going to try and take these little nails and use them to hold these bands on, so the bands are not really structural anymore. There are obviously some gaps here. I'm okay with those imperfections, but I'm concerned that I won't be able to get the nails to drive in all the way, but I should have enough spots here. So I'm going to kind of experiment here and see how I can get these in. Because of the way that these nails are finished, I think I need to use a piece of wood to bang them in. So I'm going to run around and see if I can find a piece of oak and then use that as a hammer, because I don't actually have a wooden hammer. Or maybe I'll take a piece of oak and use it in between the nail and a hammer. Maybe that would make more sense. Let's see how that goes. So I was just kind of winging it, trying to kind of flow with the barrel, and I really like how this turned out. This looks really, really cool. It's really got that rustic look I was looking for. This is nice and secure. The structure is already there. It's underneath this. This is going to be really, really cool. So I'm going to do this kind of like an up-down pattern on the top one. But then these, I think I'm just going to go straight across because they're ever so slightly thinner. So I'll just go straight across. But I think now that I know that this is going to work, I guess I got to start making sure these are secure. But I need to cut a door in here. I think I got to do 1, 2, 3, 4 here in order to make room for the plumbing, because I need to be able to open this up, get in it, and do the plumbing. I got to figure out how I'm going to do hinges. I'll probably build something on the inside first, holding everything together the way that it sits. And then, I don't know, maybe I'll put some hidden hinges on the inside. Maybe that'll really work. I'll do some hidden hinges so nobody can see them. I'll see if that works. All right, I don't know, I'll figure something out. All right, I just did the top. That looks freaking awesome. I really like this. Oh, that looks so cool. Now, I started putting the ones in the middle here, but I'm gonna have to start doing the rest of these. I gotta pull out some of these nails right here, and I gotta sort that out now. Oh, I like it. So this is what it looks like right now. I got one more I got to finish right here, but this is how it's coming out. And I really like it. Really, really, really like it. This is just coming out way better than I expected. It's got kind of a, I don't know, medieval barrel look. I really like it. Let's keep going. So I finished this, just stood it up. This is how this is gonna sit in that bathroom. This looks so cool. I really like how this came out. Now we're back inside here. We have to figure out between, you can kind of see the way that this thing is laid out over here. Let me see if I can zoom out a little bit. There we go. I just got to figure out how the plumbing is going to be. Plumbing and brackets. And I'm actually half thinking, instead of trying to make a door in the middle here and kind of ruin the look, I'm actually wondering if I can cut chunks out here and here on either side, and then I can reach in and do what I got to do. And I think that could potentially work. So we'll see.